And he called me and was like, Juliana, you have been chosen as a candidate for the top candidate for the position, so you've been hired. I'm like, hired? Like how? Like, come, can you come again? Like, I've been hired to say hired, or is there a second interview that you want me to do some practical sections, or hired like how? And I was like, you've been hired. I'm like, hey, is that how you hire people? Like, is that how you hire people? And I was like, I'm not joking. When can you come to Accra? I said, I can come to Accra today. Today, I can come to Accra. And I was reading somebody say, and then the lady I was reading, her was like, are you going to leave me? I said, hey, I'm going to leave you. I left here. I hopped into a VIP. Me coming to Accra, I came to Accra at dawn that day. Charlie, you're near, bro. I got my professional job right after 4 months into my national service, and it's been 5 good years since that time with absolutely no regrets at all. You may be a student, you may be a daughter or a friend to someone. I mean, everybody wants to have a job right after school or right after graduation. And so if you are that person and if you are wondering how I made it and how I was able to acquire my first job, my first professional interview ever, I mean, this video may be just for you, and so you may want to watch it to the very end. Do stay tuned. So hi, my name is Juliana. If you don't know me, I am Juliana Amoateng. So moving on, I had my first degree at the University of Education, Winneba. I did mathematics education. I had ICT as my minor. During school days, I used to work. So if you've watched my previous videos, I have, like I mentioned before, I have worked and schooled at the same time for the most part of my life. And so working and schooling at the same time has been something that I have been doing, like, I mean, almost all my life. And I started working one of the vacations in level 100. I think the last vacation in level 100, moving on to level 200. That's when I started doing my part-time work. And then any job that I got at all, I took the chance and then I hopped on it. So in level 100, during the long vacation, I submitted some applications for attachments in various organizations. Like, our lecturers would normally advise us to start applying for jobs and here and there for attachment opportunities. And so I did my best. I tried, but then I didn't get any attachment opportunity. I don't know. So I was actually in Kumasi at that time. That's where my parents live. I'm in Accra now. But in Kumasi, I submitted a few. I submitted to hotels, to restaurants, to schools, but then I didn't get any opportunity at all. And so I just decided to do something by myself. At that time, I would say it was because of money. That is why I was looking for something to do at that time. It was because of money. I wanted something. I have always wanted to be an independent lady, and so working and then getting money alongside schooling has been a thing for me since the beginning of my life. And so that is the main reason why I wanted something to do at that time. And I remember I looked into myself and then asked myself what I can do at that time, and I realized that I'm very good at creating things and creating stuff. So I bought chaliwate and then use African cloth to design it. I would buy earrings, use African cloth to design it, and then I was hawking in the streets of Kumasi market, KGTR to be precise, around Edrum, the market there, and then I was selling my goods. So that is what I was doing in level 100, the long vacation, moving on to level 200. The next thing that I hopped on was that I loved earrings, okay, and even up to this moment I still love earrings. And so there was a friend that I had who introduced me to online shopping, and that friend happens to be my husband. He introduced me to online shopping, AliExpress, Alibaba, Kiku, and then I checked up on some earrings and I loved a few. So I would order the earrings, and then it would come through his postal address, and then he would give it to me. Then I would sell them. So alongside doing the African chaliwate, I was also selling earrings. When I order, I put a few coins on it and then I sell, just as any businessman or woman would do. So that is the next job that I did. The next job I did in level 2, seriously. The next job I did when I was in level 200 was a part-time with an NGO, an international organization. And with this particular job, I consider it to be my breakthrough. It was like a deal breaker for me. So there was this friend in my room. I was very close to her. I used to help her when it comes to some domestic chores because she was an expectant mother. So I used to help her with some chores. And apparently she had been telling her family about me, that she had a roommate who was helping her in her domestics and all. So one day one of her family friends came over to the school to visit her, and then she introduced me to him. And when she introduced me to him, I was like, okay, well. And then a few days later, during vacations, the first semester in level 200, I was just home trying to figure out what to do next because the African cloth business wasn't really moving well. It had gone out of fashion. It was time for the beads. So you know the chalawate, the beaded one. So the beaded one was really, really trendy. And I was kind of feeling lazy to learn the beaded one. I didn't have the creativity to do it myself. I had to go to a school and then learn, and I wasn't ready for that. I didn't even have the resources for that. And so it was my business with using the African cloth to design the chalawate was out of fashion, and so the demand wasn't as high as before. So I was just there trying to figure out what I would do. And then this guy called me. He asked me whether I'll be able to do data collection. I'm like, data collection? Well, I haven't done it before, but I think I can do it. So I was working with World Vision. World Vision is a non-governmental organization. So I was working with them on their annual review of their project. So I used to collect data and then also assist in the data entry. So they had this annual data collection, and then once a while they also do data collection on anything that they would help their project. And so that's how I got the chance to work during the vacation when I was in level 200. And even when school reopened, once a while when the job comes, I take permission and then I leave from campus to Accra, and then I'll come and do it. Sometimes it's for 3 days, sometimes it's for 4 days, and so I would take on and then I would leave campus and come to Accra and do it. So that is how I was doing it. So, and then I also didn't limit myself to World Vision's data collection job. I was searching on the internet day in and day out. And so I remember that during vacations in level 200, the long semester, when I came home, there wasn't any data collection. I had to find something else to do. And so I was searching through the internet for jobs, and then I came across a certain man who was a mixologist for events. And then I contacted him. He said yes, he's looking for someone to go with who would help him lift the drinks. I mean, help him pour something. I mean, somebody who could easily run errands. I was going to level 300, but then I was never shy to follow someone to events, dress in whichever way the person wanted me to dress in, so far as it was decent, and then run errands for the person. So at that time, I was a mixologist. Like I was an apprentice for a mixologist. It wasn't for a long time, but then I gathered about just a few amount of money. It wasn't even up to 200 cedis, but then I was okay with it because I was getting some sort of experience from that. Okay, and that is how I was combining school and work at that time. And then there was even a time that I was a hotel receptionist, so it was also another vacation. So there was no vacation that I had let it be silent on me when it came to job applications. I would apply to anywhere that was open, and I was attending forums and seminars here and there as if I've been sent. Okay, I was everywhere, all over, and I was looking for opportunities, and anything that I found, I was doing it. Now, the biggest information that I have for you, this is where all the story lies. So how I got my first job. In the 4th month during my national service, so it was with this same data collection. A data collection exercise had come up, and I took permission as well. I was doing my national service, and then I went. Okay, so after the data collection, we gathered the data collected, and then we handed it over to the supervisor who was supervising. And on that very day, after the data collection, so it was 3 days, so I had done the 3-day data collection, and on the 3rd day some way somehow all the supervisors had to go for a very important meeting, and so I was appointed to just like kind of gather all the data we collect and then send it over to a particular office. Okay, and there was this man that I met on the field. So the data collection was involved two organizations. One organization was the consultant for the organization that was doing the data collection. Okay, and so these consultants had been engaged to take data collection for this particular organization. And so when we finished taking the data, I am supposed to submit all the data collected to the consultants so that they get the information, and then they do the entry and they analyze the data. And that day, after we had done the data collection, the supervisors for the consultants were not available. They had all gone for a meeting, and so one of the staff from the organization who had engaged these consultants was on the field with us. So after everything, I gathered all the data, and then this particular staff was going to, he was just going our way, so he put all of us in his car, and then he was dropping each and everyone along the way. Okay, he was dropping each and everyone along the way, and then some way somehow it was only me in the car with him when everybody had dropped. And then he was like, where am I going? And then I said, oh, I'm going to Kaneshi. I'm going to drop the questionnaires to this particular organization, to the consultants they had engaged. Okay, and then he offered to drop me at a place where it would be very, very convenient for me to take on another car to go to Kaneshi. And so on my way with him, he was asking me what I do, and I said, oh, I'm doing my national service, and I am, as you can see, I'm going to drop the data questionnaires or the questionnaires to the consultants. And then he was like, okay, let me just drop you. And then I was asking me what course I did and what I'm doing at the national service, what exactly I'm doing at the national service. And then he told me about a project going on in his organization, and maybe when the need arises, he may call me and then we can have a collabo. Maybe I can help him do some work on the project. And I said, okay, that's fine, I'll be able to do it. I was so confident in myself, and so I took his card, and then I gave my number to him, and then he left, and then I dropped off. So when I took his card, I put it in my purse, and then I dropped the purse somewhere. To be honest, I had forgotten to check up on him. And so in that same month, I think after about 10 days or so, I was just there, and then a number sent me a WhatsApp that there's an opening, a vacancy position at the organization. And so if I'm interested, I'm like, hello, I'm interested. I didn't even look at the job role. I didn't know the qualifications. I didn't know what it entailed. I just read the message just as it was, and I'm like, hello, yes, I'm interested. I can be able to do it. And then he said, if you're interested, well, send your CV. I'm like, okay, I can send my CV. And then I grabbed my CV. Let me tell you this, to be honest, I didn't know anything about CV construction. I didn't know anything about constructing a CV. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew that a CV was just a basic Word document where you just put your name and then your experiences. I didn't even know how to structure it well, or construct whatever I had to construct it well. And so just as I had it on my CV, I had packed the CV somewhere lying on my laptop, and then I sent it to her. I sent it to him on WhatsApp. I sent the CV to him on WhatsApp. I had no idea about professionalism. And then he was like, hello girl, send your CV to my email. And so I quickly went to search for his card, and then I sent the CV to him. As it stands now, if I show you the email I sent to him, when I sent that CV, you'll be amazed. Maybe I'm going to pop it up for you to see. Okay, so I sent the CV to him, and then after a few days, I was like, hey, I'm not hearing anything from this guy. I'm not hearing anything from him. And then I decided to just call him. So my friend, the one who introduced me to Alibaba and then online shopping, if you remember him from the beginning that we started the story, he just said, why, just call him. Call him. You don't lose anything. I'm like, my friend is saying, why should I call him? And then I called him, and I was like, oh, you have been shortlisted for an interview.